Good to see you. Good to see everybody. All right. So let me just fire up all the lives here. And I wanted to talk about how A Course in Miracles actually helps me buy real estate, how I use it, how I use the teachings and the principles of A Course in Miracles to bring me peace, to bring me into the right state of mind, and what I focus on when I buy real estate. Right. A lot of the things that I teach is on A Course in Miracles, and then the other half of what I teach is on real estate, on financial freedom, and it's all mindset. The entire thing is mindset. Um, you know, a lot of times real estate is not it's not as simple or it's not as easy to do as we make it, right? The journey to buying real estate, the journey to building success and building a big portfolio in real estate, it looks like overnight success on the outside. But when you go through it, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of unforeseen things which, can cause distress, can cause anxiety. As with all things, right? Real estate is just one form of something in this world which we grasp onto. So for me, real estate just happens to be the vehicle in which I create financial abundance for myself and what I teach others and help others do. Now, that's a form, that's just what I do, but that isn't who I am. I use real estate when I buy real estate and all the things that come up around it as my teachers. Right. And, recently we had gone through a really, really challenging closing of a deal or acquisition of a deal. Last year, everything was easy peasy. Money just kept flowing in, and we were buying a whole ton of deals, one deal after another. And everyone was like, whoa, how's Alex buying 700 units in like 7 months? Right. And it was because I was in a space of expansion and I was growing rapidly. So it allowed all of it to come. But the course says that we all have egos. No matter what, every single person has an ego that we're actually running away from. But the further we try to run away from the ego, the more the ego actually has us. And what does that really mean? That means there's a part of us that's actually really afraid of the truth. There's a part of us that isn't okay with what we are created as. And the truth is that we are simply extensions of love. And that there is nothing lacking in all of us and in the universe, and all of it together, it serves for good. Everything happening for us is expanding us. Whether it seems like inform something that's hard, something that's a failure, or a bad relationship, whatever it looks like in form, right? We all have our challenges and struggles. The course says that there's only one thing that's happening. And the one thing that's happening is that you are choosing the experience that you're going through. That's all the course asks of you. The course doesn't ask you to like what the principles of the course is. The course doesn't ask you to understand it. Just try it out. Just be aware of it. Aware of your choosing. That all the experiences that I'm having, I'm choosing it. So when I go through real estate, so buying real estate, sometimes there are really tough scenarios, right? I don't know. Maybe your deal is in trouble, or maybe you've put a whole bunch of money down and you're not able to close the deal and you're at risk of losing your deposit. It's the seemingly like it's the losing of money that actually has us lose our peace. But the course says that money is part of that illusion that we create. Money is attached to the identity that we make of ourselves. What does losing money mean to me? Like, what does it mean of me? Right? And so there's a part of us that's always afraid. That's afraid to see what this form and what this lesson is actually trying to teach us. Maybe it's a significant other. Right now I'm using the example of real estate because I've gone through certain things, but the more you come to realizing that you're choosing your experience, the more honest you can start to get about the situation. And really the honesty is that if I'm the one choosing it, right? If I'm the one choosing this anxiety, if I'm the one choosing, pain and fear and all of that, that means I must be able to choose something else. And so anytime that my peace gets robbed in real estate or I give it away, I give my peace away when I'm afraid, when I have anxiety about things. And one of the things that we have to admit to ourselves is that we are afraid. We're afraid of failure, we're afraid of success, we're afraid of how other people will see us. We're afraid of saying the wrong things, we're afraid of losing money, we're afraid of making money. Across the board, we are always afraid. We're afraid of losing something. And what that's actually implying is that you are not actually the whole perfect complete being that you are created and designed. So we all have an ego, and the ego is running away from the truth. The ego doesn't want to see the truth because we've done so many things in our lives, in our relationships, that show us that this world can hurt us. The course says that we chose something. We chose that somehow we could be separate. This is what the course calls the tiny mad idea, that somehow we could be separate. And I have a point. There's a point that I'm making about all of this. It may seem like, oh man, it's like all over the place, but there is a point. The point that I will get to is what I really focus on. Not just in real estate, but real estate helps me remember what it is that I should focus on. Do you know how many people actually I didn't realize this till maybe a couple days ago. How many people actually watch this ACIM thing, this call? Whether they're watching it or they catch a glimpse of it or they just catch the title, there are eyes on this call. It's so interesting. Multiple people this week said that they're investing with me because of this call. How interesting. I'm not even talking about real estate on this call most of the times. But I'll just share my recent couple month journey on real estate, right? I mean, we have a lot of money committed to a deal. It's a $5 million deal. I personally have over $100,000 at risk. It's at risk. It's not our, so we raised the rest of the money. We raised the rest of the money for real estate, but somebody had to put the money down first. Somebody has to pay for inspection. Somebody has to pay for attorneys and all these things, and that's not our investors. Our investors' money kind of just sit there. We don't touch it until the deal closes. So I'm at risk. This money is non-refundable at this point. And I have a couple partners that also put money in there, non-refundable. So there's so much pressure riding on that, right? I mean, money, we make money the biggest thing. So going through this entire deal, I thought I would be able to raise $2.5 million in, I don't know, a month. This deal dragged out 7 months. And we did everything that we could. I'm constantly, we had so many deadlines that we didn't make, but we got extensions on, right? And every single time going through and hitting a deadline, the week before that, I'm literally so stressed out and in anxiety that there would be points that I wouldn't be able to walk. I would be I couldn't even move. I was paralyzed, and it's funny because every single time that happened, the way out and what it led up to was that I have no control of it. I had to give it up to God. I'm like, literally, there is nothing I can do anymore. But the Course says you really need do nothing. And, the seller would message me and be like, the broker messaged me and goes, "Hey, I got good news. He's willing to extend." Literally on the day that the contract is closing. I got a letter of termination the day before, and then on the day of, willing to extend. See, I'm not able to see the whole picture, right? I'm only seeing what I'm experiencing. And this is what the Course is telling us, that you can't see the whole thing. That means you are incapable of making judgments about what's going on. You're incapable of making judgments about what is best for you. You're incapable of making judgments about anything. Because the only thing that you see is what's in front of you and what you chose to experience. What you chose to experience. And we all do the same thing. We can't see everything, but we judge it, we stress. So on this deal, at some point, I'm like, I did my best. God, it's all up to you. Right? I know that I got to choose this at some point. But I was still choosing, oh man, pressure, anxiety. How do I manage the anxiety and pressure? It's every single moment. The Course says, just be aware of what's going on and don't judge yourself. See, the reason why we feel pressure and we feel anxiety is because we're judging ourselves really harshly. We're making the result, or what we think the result is, determine who I am. See, even in that, we're running away from the truth, because the truth is that you're perfect. You're in perfect love. You're an extension of God. The way that you're created is perfect. But what we make up in that moment is, if I don't have this done, I'm incompetent. I can't pay my bills. That means I am this thing. If I lose money, that means I am this. But that isn't you at all. But we make that. And that's what's really stressing us. If I can't pay my bills, if I lose $100,000, what will other people think of me? I mean, I think that was one of the biggest things. It was an image. I realized that it was an image, and I was choosing to protect an image that I made of myself rather than the perfect, whole, complete version of myself. And you simply have to trust. You have to trust. this is this is what the Course says for all of us, that you can choose pain and suffering as much as you want. One second. This is how I'm viewing the end result. Yeah. And it's funny. It's not even the end result. It's a projected end result. It's the pro forma. In real estate, brokers always send you pro formas and try to sell you deals on pro formas. That isn't what's going on even right now. And most of the times, pro formas don't even happen because they're made up. Based on the past, we project the future. And when we actually stress, we're so insane that we don't even have past evidence, and we will project the future of pain and suffering. The entire journey for me I realized coming towards the end of this deal is it was faith being tested for me. The entire thing was faith being tested for me. A part of me knew it was always going to work out no matter what happens. And every single multiple times across these 7 months, there was points that I had to give up. And I was like, there is nothing more I can do. It's all in your hands. Those moments were actually the moments of peace that I found. It's crazy. Moments of peace inside insanity and chaos was when I was like, there's nothing more I can do. Now that's a choice. That's a choice to give it over to spirit and give it over to God. That's going to happen when we're on our deathbeds. That's going to happen when we meet our end too, our physical body, flesh suit end. So this entire journey of life seems to be just a collection of painful things. But each time that we remember, each time that we give it over, each time that we have faith, it lights something inside us. And this has happened so many times in my life. And if you guys look back at your life, there was probably points where you just felt like it's not fair. That the world just is not fair. Things are happening, whether you lost somebody or you lost money or something happened. And we're just like, no, it's not fair. Or we all have that. And we let our life be dictated by stories of trauma, of pain. And there's a beautiful line that I read this morning that the course really landed for me, because we've been talking about forgiveness, right? We've been talking about forgiveness a lot. And another one of the ways that the course puts forgiveness is that forgiveness is only to remember loving thoughts. We remember way more. We remember probably mostly not loving thoughts. All the bad things that's happened to us, which is probably like so small compared to all the blessings that happen to us every day. We wake up in the morning, that is a blessing. But all the good things, see, the ego is so about creating drama for you and conflict that any good thing you have, it turns into an expectation. We can't be we can't appreciate it. We just keep taking everything for granted. Water, clean water, being able to drink water, take it for granted. How are we not celebrating so much? Like if you didn't have water for days and there was no clean water anywhere and you had to drink nasty river water or whatever every day, let's say you were like lost in the woods or something. I don't know. This just all coming. Now, the second you see this water for the rest of your life, this water, you will appreciate this clean water from the fridge that you just get, that I just get up and get water without even a second thought. The course just asks you to be mindful, to be aware. The entire curriculum of the course is to teach you to go from mindlessness to mindfulness. Ooh, that's good. I gotta write this thing down. Hold on. Momentito. Hold on. See, sometimes these things just come. I don't even know who says it. It just ends up in my mind. The entire course to go from one sec. The entire course is to teach you to go from mindlessness to mindfulness. There are so many practices out there for you to be mindful, right? Just being able to be aware of this moment. Meditations. We just need moments of remembering throughout the day. of gratitude. Hmm. Yeah. Our parents are, the course calls it, your level 3 teacher. You're born into it with them. Your life, your entire experience of this life is tied to that teacher. Level 3 teachers, you have to see them for what they are, which means they are going to dance with you for the rest of your life. There is no choice for it. That means you're healing. Your level 3 teachers, that's where you got to heal. You cannot get away from it. Their soul, they're going to mirror you for the entire duration of your experience here on earth. Now, my mom is this, my sister is that. Talking like that, right? Talking like that reinforces an experience. There's an experience that will happen when you're be around this person. There's an experience when you think about this person. Who's choosing that? Who's having this? Why are you having this experience? Now the ego's like, no, 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 it's not my fault, right? The ego promotes separation, so the ego's like, it's their fault. It's her fault because she's behaving this way, behaving that way. Last night, I had a great speaker on our mastermind for our real estate program, and some of the things he speaks his truth. He speaks his own truth, and he speaks things that he believes to be real, and he doesn't censor himself, which is totally fine. Like, we want to be authentic with what we're saying, right? And then we'll learn our lessons wherever. But maybe there was something he said that offended somebody, but he has a great amount of knowledge in real estate. I was taking notes nonstop, but one of a couple people were kind of offended by one comment. Okay. But when we take offense to something, we focus solely on that now. Right? We're incapable of looking for the good. And that's what the course is asking us, is that anytime a trigger comes up, we need to develop a relationship to our triggers. That relationship is first to be aware that it isn't the comment. It isn't what is said. Because how is it that 99% of the people didn't even hear it, was not offended by it, and you got offended by it? What's the truth here? What's actually happening? If we take the experience of everybody, there's 99 things happening. But yours is the truth? And the point I'm trying to make here is that all of us have these moments where we pick and choose what matters the most to us. It's they triggered me. They said this, it's not right. What's not right? According to who is it not right? You are playing the sole judge in this court case right now. And here's the other thing that the course teaches us, is that get off that seat. Get off that seat. You don't belong on the judge's seat. It's like me going to trial and being like, hey, move over. I'm going to be the judge of this court case. It's as insane as that. Right? You have no, you can't make judgments. Right? We look at things only from our experience, which is no idea what's going on. And if you truly want peace, you got to let go of your wanting to be the judge. So God's the judge. God will decide. Right? And those moments of true peace for me was in the midst of all that chaos. that my deal might not go through, that I'm about to lose all this money, and people are gonna see, and I'm gonna let down so many people. I made up all of that. I don't know. Maybe if the deal doesn't go through, people see me even in a more uh in a better light. I don't know, better or worse, whatever. More, better, different, but see me not as I thought they would see me. Oftentimes we think we're going to let somebody down, and we come to realization that we didn't do any such thing. Right? We make up these things. That's why we're incapable of judging. We make up scenarios. We make up the worst scenarios in our heads. And we only hope for the best. But we believe deeply that the worst scenario is going to come. We hope for the best, right? What's it saying? You hope for the best and expect the worst. Maybe it's there's times in which that may work for you, but it's not going to work all the time. Because then you just go around expecting the worst everywhere. And when you expect the worst everywhere, you're choosing the worst scenarios all the time. You're literally praying for it to happen. And then we're like, dude, why the hell is the worst case scenario always happening? Because you're choosing it. You expect the worst all the time. I only hope that the best will come. If it comes, great. But I expect the worst. Right? There was a video that we watched recently, and I'll get to you in 1 second, Alma. There was a video that we watched recently that the way that we see somebody actually changes the way they show up. Literally. And the video suggests that the world needs our love. The world leaders, politicians, anybody that you have an issue with. The world needs our love, but most importantly, you need the love. You're seeing a problem somewhere. You made up that problem. It isn't the truth. Right? They're playing a very specific role. Each one of us has a specific ministry. That means a duty and assignment from God of a role that you're playing. Every one of us. We spend more time judging other people's roles and judging other people's ministries than our own. They're placed exactly where they are, doing exactly what they're meant to do to teach you a lesson. The lesson was designed for you. We don't see that. And that's what we're running away from. That's the truth. The truth is that it's designed for you. And that's what we're running away from, is that I don't want to look at it like that. I want to look at it as there's a problem there. He's a problem. She's a problem. My mom's a problem. My sister's a problem. It's all their problems. And I'm just losing my peace over it. Okay, so it's really your problem. That means you get to shift the way you see it. When we look to something with love, I mean, even quantum physics, and science has proven this. The placebo effect. They call it these things that are completely non-science at all. Right? At some point, they just like, yep, placebo effect. It's like, okay, well, that's not science, right? Science is supposed to make logic of it actually happening. So then they start testing it on plants and water. It's like, oh my God, you can actually say nice things to water and water will change. Like, what? That's not science. So if that could be real, how come we pay no attention to that? Right? We still pay attention to that. Other people dictate our experience. So that video that we watched really suggests that we look to the world with love. But the only way we can look to the world with love is if we have practiced forgiveness. That means I bring only loving thoughts from my past. I focus on the gratitude, the loving things, the good things that's happened. I don't focus on the stories of that I was wrong this way, and they're the ones that have the problems and all this victim stuff and all this fear stuff. We don't do any of that. We focus on just the loving thoughts. Man, those loving moments that we had. right? When we remember loving moments, we actually have an experience in this moment that's different from thinking about the other conflicts that we've had. Right? If I look back to, and the best thing for us is you look back at your past intimate relationships, right? Most of those relationships probably end pretty sour. But it's when we heal our relationship to those that we even give our relationship today a chance. Focus on just the loving thoughts. Because it's not about what you have to do with those other thoughts, the grievances of love. It's not that we have to do anything with those. Because if you focus on you have to do something with those, that's what the Course says. Don't try to deny the ego. That's the last thing you want to do. Don't deny the ego. If you actively try to deny the ego, it just gets bigger. Forgiveness is to bring only loving thoughts. If you bring loving thoughts, you only see loving thoughts. Darkness disappears as the light enters automatically. You do not need to actively try to do something about the darkness. All right. So, okay, take a breath here and drink my amazing clean water in this beautiful glass, and I'll let Alma share. Go ahead, Alma.
Well, it's not a question of share because I have 300 million questions. It's a question of how do you structure this meeting? This is my first time here. Are you gonna do a reading from the book? Are we gonna have at the end Q&A? I don't understand. Like I said, it's my first time here. Oh. Thank you.
Okay, great. So this is just basically a talk, a conversation about teachings of A Course in Miracles and how we can apply it to areas in our life. And I just share my experience around it. I find that if I just start reading, like it's hard to digest. All I want to do is inspire you to read it. Right? I'll read different things from the text. There will be things that I pull out, whether it's from Marianne Williamson or from A Course in Miracles. Right? I'll find those. I have books back here actually with from Ken Wapnick and stuff like that. So there really isn't a structure around that. I usually try to open it up with something that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to talk about this topic today. I'll open up that way. Sometimes it doesn't lead to the continuation of that, right? Sometimes we just start talking about other things as other people start to share, because this is a satsang. A satsang is where we gather and we stop the noise for a moment of the world, and we share and we collectively design the teachings of this morning. I'm not teaching. Teaching is happening. We're dancing around it. So as I share, I only want to invoke. Yeah. I want to evoke the thoughts to come, the connectedness, something that's like, ooh, that lands for me. And then, oh my God, what about it in my life? Why was this message this morning perfect for me? And by me sharing, I almost make it like some of the crazy stuff that happens to me, I share it like it's funny too. Like, we just got to laugh about it. We take things too seriously. That's what the Course says. The Course says the tiny mad idea happened that somehow I could be separate from God and I can be separate from each other. And that's not the problem. The problem isn't that something happened. The problem isn't that your mom said this or is always doing that. The problem isn't our president doing this and, the economy, whatever happens to the economy as a result. That's not the problem. The problem is that you took it seriously. The problem is that you entertained that thought. The problem is that you regurgitated it and made it the truth of your reality, rather than the oneness that exists between us. So there's really no structure of this call, right? I think as you kind of just hang here for a couple of different calls, you'll see that it is always perfect, designed perfectly, created perfectly, right? Like structure would be if I was teaching a real estate process, like the process of underwriting a real estate deal. There's structure around that. We want structure because it helps us deliver the same message. A Course in Miracles and what we're talking about when we talk about love is just completely free flowing. This is a flow state call. Oh, that's a good one too. Thank you, first of all, for the question, because nobody's ever asked me this question. And all of that just came as you asked the question. So thank you for that question. But I would just say be here. Like there's a message for you, like there's a calling for you. Okay, this is yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
This that I'm keeping this now. Level 3 teachers, level 2 teachers, level 1. Come on now.
Okay. So we can yeah. Okay. So, we'll do a little bit of structure. Well, if you have these questions, which is great, we'll read from the course exactly what that means. Okay. So that's awesome. Good question. And know that there is no bad questions, because all questions are designed, and when you ask it, you're asking from a collective space. All right. So so the course is this book right here. Okay. It's divided into 3 sections. There's 31 chapters, 600 plus pages of text that is it's pretty deep about it's deep, but it's simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. So you go through it. It's challenging to read sometimes because the ego actively blocks it. The course says you don't need to understand it. You don't need to agree with it. You simply just go through it. Then there is a workbook, 365 lessons for 365 days. Again, you don't need to agree with it. You don't need to understand it. You don't even need to like it. But you just do it and you see what happens. And the lesson 1 is very simple, and it goes in order. Do it in order though, because it starts very simple, like, nothing in this room means anything. Oh, but I just made meaning of this clean water. God damn it. Now nothing in this room means anything. And it slowly goes, and as it goes into the chapters, into each lesson of the day, your mind begins to open a little more. Your heart begins to open a little more. And that's the design of it. And what are we opening for? We're opening ourselves up so that we can hear. We can hear the symphony that's playing around us every single day. The messages of the Holy Spirit. And then you have the third section, which is the manual for teachers, which is really questions that students have. So when I said level 3 teacher, it comes from the manual for teachers in the back. Okay, it's divided into sections, and it starts off with saying who are God's teachers, who are their pupils, and number 3, it goes into what are the levels of teaching. So I'll read a little bit right now. Let's see if it invokes some thoughts and some thinking. Thank you for that question. So I'll start right now. Okay, so what are the levels of teaching? The teachers of God have no set teaching level. Each teaching learning situation involves a different relationship at the beginning, although the ultimate goal is always the same: to make of relationship a holy relationship, in which both can look upon the Son of God as sinless. There is no one from whom a teacher of God cannot learn, so there is no one whom he cannot teach. However, from a practical point of view, he cannot meet everyone, nor can everyone find him. Therefore, the plan includes very specific contacts to be made for each teacher of God. There is no accident in salvation. Those who are to meet will meet, because together they have the potential for a holy relationship. They are ready for each other. The simplest level of teaching appears to be quite superficial. It consists of what seems to be very casual encounters, a chance meeting of two apparent strangers in an elevator, a child who is not looking where he is going, running into an adult. These are not chance encounters. Each of them has a potential for becoming a teaching learning situation. Perhaps the seeming stranger in the elevator will smile to one another. Perhaps the adult will not scold the child for bumping into him. Perhaps the students will become friends. Even at the level of the most casual encounter, it is possible for two people to lose sight of separate interests, if only for a moment. That moment will be enough. Salvation has come. So remember, we talked last week. There was a question about who are the teachers of God. Teachers of God are anybody that chooses, okay, actively, that I see our interest to not be apart. All my anybody that actively chooses and has made a decision that all my brothers and sisters, our interests are not apart. We all have the same interests. So right here, that means the holy instant, the holy relationship is in that moment, we lose sight of separate interests. So you're in a holy relationship, a holy moment. We've all had it. We're in a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden the conversation is like, we are one with each other. I completely get you, you completely get me, and we lost sight of the separation for moments. Salvation has come in that moment. So that's a chance encounter. Or the Course says it's not a chance encounter, because there is no chance encounters. It is difficult to understand that levels of teaching of the universal course is a concept as meaningless in reality as time. The illusion of one permits the illusion of the other. In time, the teacher of God seems to begin to change his mind about the world with a single decision, and then learns more and more about the new direction as he teaches it. We have covered the illusion of time already, but the illusion of levels of teaching seems to be something different. So right now the Course is trying to remember, the Course is talking about judgments. Judgments is a sign of the ego. So when we're talking about levels of teaching, all of a sudden there is a part in our mind that may go into judgment. Like each level, one is better than the other. There is no better than. Nothing stacks like this, but they're basically all right next to each other, like with each other. There's no separation in it, even though there's three different levels. It's not like a hierarchy of levels. They're just for the sake of discerning and deciphering the difference between them. Not one is better than the other. So the illusion immediately of, oh my God, level 3 teachers are really the best teachers, are the ones that I have to pay attention to. No, all of them equal. Perhaps the best way to demonstrate that these levels cannot exist is simply to say that any level of teaching learning situation is part of God's plan for atonement, and his plan has no levels, being a reflection of his will. Salvation is always ready and always there. God's teachers work at different levels, but the result is always the same. Right? So so time is an illusion. And we're getting kind of deep into this conversation, but if time's an illusion, that means the levels don't matter. Because level 3 teacher is only somebody that is there for longer period of time, your entire life. But time has no purpose. The only purpose of time is to teach you that time doesn't exist. So whether it's a chance encounter, give you salvation in this moment, or its entire life, your entire life to give you that one moment of salvation, either way, those teachers, there is no bigger, better, worse teacher. They're all the same. They serve only one will, which is to bring you salvation right now. Each teaching learning situation is maximal in the sense that each person involved will learn the most that he can from the person at that time. In this sense, and in this sense only, can we speak of levels of teaching. Using the term in this way, the second level of teaching is more sustained relationship, in which for a time, two people enter into a fairly intense teaching learning situation and then appear to separate. We all know who that is. We can probably think about that person right now. We got the name right now. Who's this person that came into my life? Intense learning moments. But remember, it's also important for us to call it what it is that this is a teaching learning situation. We've come together in a teaching learning situation. We are together on this call, teaching learning situation. Some people will listen to this call just one time and maybe come back later. Some people will be here every single week for a short period of time. Some people will be with me on this journey for the rest of my life. Each, we will come to a moment where learning and teaching the most that we can learn from each other at that time. Right? As with the first level, these meetings are not accidental, nor is it what appears to be the end of relationship, a real end. Okay, so the end of the relationship that you think you have with somebody, it's not a real end. Again, each has learned the most that they can at the time. Yet all who meet will someday meet again, for it is the destiny of all relationships to become holy. God has not mistaken in us. The third level of teaching occurs in relationships which, once they are formed, are lifelong. These are teaching learning situations in which each person is given a chosen learning partner who presents him with unlimited opportunities for learning. I mean, shouldn't we just be the most grateful for this? Like there's unlimited opportunities to learn. These relationships are generally few because their existence implies that those involved have reached a stage simultaneously in which the teaching learning balance is actually perfect. This does not mean that they necessarily recognize this. In fact, they generally do not. They may even be quite hostile with each other for some time and perhaps for life. Hold on, letting somebody into the room. Yet, should they decide to learn it, the perfect lesson is before them and can be learned. And if they decide to learn that lesson, they become the saviors of the teachers who falter and may even seem to fail. No teacher of God can fail to find the help he seeks. So that's your level 3 teacher. Your level 3 teacher presents you with unlimited learning opportunities and will push your buttons all the time. But this isn't a me and my mom or me and my dad or me and my sister relationship. This is an infinite, a learning, teaching moment that somehow we've been put together because where we are perfectly balanced. Who are those people? Right now we look on the world. That's why I am the way I am. Actually, it's because of this lesson right here. When I meet new people, I'm like, there is no chance encounter here. Let's dig. Let's really deepen and remember this relationship. Let's find the likeness. Let's find where we are, what we're meant to do together here. Let's find the salvation here. There's no chance in bumping into each other. And then I appreciate all the past relationships I've had. I honor them all the time. Whenever I see friends that I haven't talked to in a long time, I'm like, man, how amazing. Right? And this is why I love social media too. Now, I don't really like being on it all the time. Right? It's actually like there's too much stuff going on. And, I've gotten to a point where there's too much. What am I looking for? What word am I looking for? Because I've designed my social media to really serve my real estate space, there's too much of that happening on my social media. I don't even want to see it. Now, more and more, this is the more important conversation for me to express to the world. And I've shifted my DM team to go out and find people that follow Marion Williamson, people that follow Hive, oh my God, Hoffmeister, some of the teachers of A Course in Miracles, people that follow A Course in Miracles, people that follow A Return to Love. Now my DMs go out to search for those people. And I get to have amazing conversations immediately. Yeah.
What is DM?
Direct messaging, like in social media, like LinkedIn, Instagram. Yeah. Like I have a team that's dedicated to, sending out these DMs and connecting. So Instagram is basically fully real estate loaded. LinkedIn is almost fully A Course in Miracles loaded. So it's cool. It's really, really interesting. And, even though my LinkedIn recently has reached top 1% in real estate in the world, pretty awesome. I'm changing it, right? I'm like, I think I want to have more of these conversations. I want more A Course in Miracles conversations.
Is Twitter and TikTok and one of those the same whatever forum?
Yeah, but
I don't have any of those. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. All I have is WhatsApp, and I'm happy with that.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's fine. Like as long as we're happy with it, like LinkedIn and Instagram, these just give us an opportunity to connect with old friends, and Facebook too, right? There's people that I haven't talked to in forever, but they're watching me and I'm watching them, right? There are people that you look at their story or you look at their posts all the time and you have not reached out, you have not said hi, you have not done anything. You're one of those that's like, you look up, they look down, they look up, you look down, and you guys never say anything to each other, but we're following each other. There are people that I follow like that, and there are people following me like that. But how can I always be an invitation? These calls are always a call to people. When people come onto these lives, they see one moment. Every moment can this one moment reach them. And I don't need to do it specifically. I just need to be connected to that intention when I'm doing these calls.
But you know what I'm afraid of? You're gonna become like, do you know this guy called I forgot, I have a blank right now. He does a 20-minute meditation, free meditation.
Who? There's so many.
I know, but this guy is like already is like untouchable. If you want to go see him in person, you have to pay like $300 to see him. For example.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. It becomes unreachable. I cannot have a conversation with him right now.
Well, that's why we build this relationship now, and you will always be able to reach me. I'm not gonna, like, I do believe that I'm destined to speak to a much larger audience. But it's not about being untouchable. It's not about whatever. It's just about me being able to deliver my message on a larger stage.
Panache Desai, that's him. He offers his 20 minutes free meditation. He's a lot of fun. He has a monologue 20 minutes before, so it's like a 45-minute with him.
Yeah.
But if you want to have more contact with him, that's it. Pay. He's very business oriented. And I feel like, do I invest in that or no, not yet,
Well, that's up to you. I pay $18,000 to be around some certain people that are kind of more unreachable. But that's up to you what you want to surround yourself with. They have the right to listen. Money. This conversation actually, this call is really designed to bring the principles and the teachings of A Course in Miracles to money, and bring these two things together. Because money is a expression of gratitude, energy, appreciation. Right. So, but we're like, no. I'll say thank you, but I'm not going to give you money, because money's different. Right. When we start to change our relationship to money freely, like money is an idea, the principle and the teachings, the law of ideas is that when ideas are given attention to, it grows. Same thing with money. The more you force it into a constricting position, no money. Don't do that. I don't want to give money. The less you will have, because you are literally creating that for yourself. You're creating that story because ideas will grow. The wealthiest people are super generous. It isn't because they were wealthy first and then they became generous. Generosity comes first and then wealth comes. Right? So we allow money to freely flow for us. Hey, I'm glad that you are charging $18,000 for me to be a part of your mentorship to hear you talk. Good for you. I'd gladly give it because I know I'm going to get 10 times, 100 times back. I charge for a lot of things. And I always think about, am I delivering 10 times that value back if I was in the other shoe? Now, why wouldn't I be able to pay my bills and do certain, so I can do this all day? Right? I can touch other lives all day. There's got to be some sort of income. Right? And we can do this for free, but that's not how the way the world works. We don't get real estate for free. We don't get healthcare for free. We don't get education for free. None of that for free. That's the way the world operates. There's a frequency that is called money, that is currency, but it needs to flow. There's an infinite amount of it. It's always going to keep coming. They're always going to print more. It's gotten to a point where money literally represents love. And one of the topics that I've had that I talked about is make money more like love rather than love more like money. Now, what does that mean? That means when I give $100 away, I have 100 less. Later, Johan, you have 100 more. Now, we do love and relationships that way. I did the dishes today. That means I had to sacrifice and do something. You got to do something in return that matches me doing the dishes. Right? This is all the battles of relationships. I'm doing more than you're doing. I'm sacrificing more. See, we're making love more like money. More like the idea of money. Paper money, $100 given to you. Now I have 100 less. You have 100 more. But making money more like love. Love works this way. I give you love. I experience love. Right? Think about when we like buy a gift that we know like for like a toddler or a baby or whatever. We expect nothing in return. The joy comes from the toddler or the kid enjoying the gift. All the fulfillment comes, right? We know that there's a part of us that when we give and people just are, happy with it, we are happy. Now, the other part of our mind, the insanity part, goes at some point, it doesn't have to be in that moment, but later be like, I always give to you. I always give to you, and the sacrifice that I make, blah, 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 all this stuff. Where's my gratitude? Where's my acknowledgement? Where's my appreciation? Yeah. And so if we make money more like that, hey, I want to give you the $500. I want to give you the $300 because if I change my relationship to the more I give, the more I will enjoy it back. See, money is a form of that same frequency. If I gave money and I got love in return, I'm like, ooh, that's great. If I give money and I get knowledge in return, yes, awesome. If I give money and I get aha moments in return, great. That means when I offer aha moments, money's just going to come. Right? We start to make money and love one. And so when I do investments like in deals, I feel it. I feel the other person. I feel the exchange happening. And the energies behind all of that, the energy behind money. So maybe we'll talk deeper about that on the next time that we hop on these calls. We'll talk more about the energy of money and our relationship to it. So Natalia, go ahead. You have a question. I want to give other people a chance to ask and comment. We have we got time. Let's go.
I wanted to share about as you were going over the relationships and describing how being in this space of what is the miracle here between this person and I, like what's the holy, and like looking for it. I wanted to share that ever since I started like applying that more and more, I started noticing like all these miracles and holy instants being created. And then I looked and I saw Yvette here, and I remembered how we met. I was on my way to GrowthCon in Las Vegas, and I was sitting having dinner, and she was sitting next to me, and I don't know, conversations happened. Next thing you know, she mentioned Grant Cardone, and I said, "Oh, are you going to the conference?" And she said, "No, I was just in his office here in Miami." I was like, "Oh wow, I'm headed to the conference." We exchanged phone numbers, and then after the conference, we scheduled a call, and then she's here now. And so it was just so beautiful because that chance encounter led to so many other things. And it's like being in and just like every time I do that more and more with every person that I have in front of you, like I allow myself the possibilities of being in curiosity and discovering what that is. And I think, and the reason why I mentioned Yvette was because that's one of the things that I acknowledged to her, that she does that so beautifully. She's always in curiosity as to what can be discovered here. And so I wanted to share that with everybody.
Yeah, not to mention that, like right after that, I went to San Diego, and then you connected us, and then we had dinner, and then she's on these calls with us, and then she meets other people from these calls. Like, where does the miracle end? Like if we just trace back our time, and we actively look for the connections of these dots moving forward, we can see it. We can see every relationship and the possible fruit that could be sowed from that relationship. I mean, wow, it's endless, it's infinite. So when we look on every relationship, let's look on all of it like that. Regardless what our judgments and what we think of others and what they're saying in this moment. Every person offers teaching opportunities. We can learn from them and we can teach them. There's really no separation between learning and teaching. It's not like I'm going to teach you something about this. It's really the learning, teaching opportunity happens. All the different levels of the relationship is only learning, teaching situations. Your relationship with your mom, learning, teaching. Your relationship with your spouse, your partner, learning, teaching. That's all all that the relationship really is. And from that space, that is what the extension of love, that's how the extension of love just keeps growing and extending. Because if you don't recognize it that way, that means more of that will come. Because we're calling to the awakening, whether we know it or not. If we choose the ego or we choose the Holy Spirit, either way, we are calling for the awakening to happen. Because we all know that we want to go home. We might take a little more, like maybe you take a little longer path back. But remember, the theme of today and the lesson of today is really that you are choosing it. The experience you're having is your choice. You have chosen to forget, or you have chosen to remember. And so being on this call, you're actively choosing to remember, because that is the intention of this call. The intention is to remember. The intention is to awaken together. Intention is for us to come together and pause from the craziness of life. This conversation is not one that everybody wants to have. Because again, we are afraid of the truth. We don't want to see it. We don't want to know that we are all perfect. We don't want to know that you're perfect. I want to be right that this person is not. I want to be right that if I do this, then this means this about me. Right? We got all these things to protect that is not the truth. If we were to awaken from the dream, all of these things that we protected is gone. Right? I mean, haven't you guys had like really great dreams, like just amazing dreams, and you're like, I don't want to wake up from this. Now the opposite is really happening. The opposite is happening here is we've collected a bunch of hellish things that are scary. We're like, oh my God, I worked so hard to gather this. If I lose this, what does this mean about me? I've wasted all my time. You know, I've worked so hard to create this, to have this family, to have this house, to have the status that I had. Okay. It's time to wake up. None of that means anything. And when you can get to that space and remembering all the time that none of that really means anything, then you really operate, or you try to operate from a holy space. Now, we all have an ego. We are all running. We are all afraid. We are all uncertain. We are all alone. We experience that. We have an ego, so we all feel that. But you can choose not to have that experience from moment to moment by working with your teachers students, by being together in this space, this type of space, just for a glimpse of a moment to remember that we aren't alone, that we are together, that there is nothing to be afraid of. You know, like I was sharing earlier, the entire real estate journey this year was, I realized it was my test in faith, in my faith. Like, can I stand in it? Can my capacity to be faithful expand? Right? It's easy to talk about it on these calls. And it's not easy when you go back to your family for the holidays and hear all that stuff and have triggers, have buttons be pushed and all that stuff happen. That's when the work is done. But these serve as moments of reminders. We grab little tiny pieces. You want to be happy or you want to be right? And then maybe the next time you talk to your mom, you're like, you know, I'm a little bit tired of being right. Let's see what the teaching learning situation is here. Let's see what this relationship really is for what it is. I'm willing to see that. Remember, we've been saying it. The phrase is show me a different way to look at this. And I'm willing to look at it differently. I would rather see love than to see pain. I would rather experience love than experience fear. Right? I mean, those are all things that if you are awake in this moment, right? What did I say earlier? The course is a journey between what? The conscious and the unconscious? Something like shit. See, good that I wrote it down.
Mindlessness to mindfulness.
Oh, right. So the entire teaching and the entire of this call is to go from mindlessness to mindfulness. Mindfulness. What are we being mindful of? Course says, don't worry about all this stuff. Don't judge yourself. Forgiveness is still. Forgiveness is quiet. Forgiveness does nothing. And you need do nothing. Forgiveness merely looks, waits, and judges not. That's forgiveness. See, we feel like we have to do something all the time. Like, I need to do something. Nothing needs to be done. Most of everything is in God's hands. You waking up the next morning is in God's hands. All of us have faith. We just don't know we have faith. So mindfulness and faith. And also we have faith in the bad things, right? We said that, expect the worst and hope for the best. We have faith in the worst coming. But it also implies that we have faith in our resilience, in our perfection. All right, so there's only two ways to look at anything. Any given moment, there's only two ways to look at it, and you are choosing the experience. Marion Williamson, day 249. Just flipped right open to it. My spiritual journey is the meaning of my life. The spiritual journey is the meaning of me doing real estate. The title of today's call is How A Course in Miracles Helps Me Buy Real Estate. It really just helps me remember how, maybe it's more like real estate is teaching me the principles of A Course in Miracles. Maybe that's more like the title. But most of us live like my material journey is the meaning of my life. My material relationships is the meaning of my life. My special relationships is the meaning of my life. And Marion Williamson says, no, it's my spiritual journey is the meaning of my life. Spirituality is an inner fire. The mystical sustenance that feeds my soul. My spiritual journey drives me into myself to a sacred flame at the center of my being. This journey gives me eyes to see, the inner strength to live the mystery of the real. Walking the road of the outer journey, outside the blaze of mystical truths, I am cold and spiritually lifeless. I am less than my potential when I am lost within the illusions of the world. Today, I awaken to the world beyond the veil and find the meaning of my life at last. May my eyes be open today that they might penetrate the darkness of a world that has forgotten love. May my ears be open to hear the cries of the heart that goes out from every soul. May I be tempted, may I not be tempted by the thinking of the world to forget why I am here. She's like a wordsmith with her words too. This is definitely not what ChatGPT can write.
Did you read from a prayer or from a book or from where did you get this reading?
So Marion Williamson is one of the teachers of A Course in Miracles out there. She's actually running for president, so vote for Marianne. She wrote the book A Return to Love. She's written a lot of books. I have all of them. But this one I've been really intrigued with this year, and I didn't open this book till this year. This book's been on my bookshelf for a while. A Year of Miracles, it's called.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, every day there's just like, something that she writes. And on these calls, again, since it's not scripted, I don't pick something out before the call. I just open up a page. I just open the book. And usually one of the two lessons will really resonate with what I was just thinking. And I keep doing that because I want to create evidence of miracles for myself. That flow state is the only state we need. That every moment will teach us everything we need to know about this moment. We don't need to draw on the past. We don't need to worry about the future. At this moment, we'll take care of this moment. And you can trust it. Okay, couple 13 minutes here. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Anyone want to share anything?
So there is a little bit of a structure. You ended up at 11:30 then. It's an hour and a half call.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to. Usually we end either a little bit on time or a little bit after. But yes, I try to make it an hour and a half.
Okay.
My goal is to make this a 7-hour call, though. So,
Oh yeah, my goal is to come over and live near you in Las Vegas.
all right, let's do it. Let's make our goals happen.
Alex, I don't know if
Hey.
this. Hi there. Sorry, I couldn't just like raise my hand, but I have a question here because he heard you saying something about not worrying about the future, and he had something to say about it. So ask your question, Papa.
you should worry about the future because you might not know what to do later on in the future if you don't step ahead and think what you're gonna do next. You'll be like, what should we do next? I don't know.
So he just overheard your comment and he said, I need to step ahead, right? Like do the things I need to do every day. So now I don't know what to do.
So you know, if you were just sitting there, sit somewhere for 2 hours. If you just sat and did nothing, what this moment will tell you is, you know, I'm hungry, and then I'm going to get up and go get food. And then you sit back down and you don't do anything. Life every moment will tell you what to do. You're like, "Oh my god, I got to go pee." And then you get up and you go to the bathroom and pee. See, that is always happening. Opportunities and these telling of moments are always happening. Now, I'm not saying don't plan for the future, but just don't make meaning of those plans, right? Like if we lose this moment, if we get upset in this moment because of a future that hasn't happened yet. So for example, if you're doing homework, right? You're doing homework so that you can get a good grade later. You're doing homework so that you can prepare yourself for a test later. But if in this moment you're doing homework and you're really pissed and angry about doing it, it's that future hasn't even happened yet. If you're worried about getting a bad grade, that hasn't happened yet. In the world of infinite possibilities in the future, allow the future to come as it comes rather than, you know, I have to worry about it. So it's the worrying of the future that we're talking about. You can prepare for the future. You can do things today so that tomorrow you can, you know, you can pay the bills. Yes, do those things, but don't worry about it because tomorrow is never guaranteed. Why lose your peace? Why get upset today for a tomorrow that hasn't shown up yet? Right? And most of the times, we can't even predict the future. What we get, right? What we get is, oh my god, it's raining today, you know, and it's sunny tomorrow. It just changes. You know, it's like, you know, I'm going to prepare for the rain tomorrow. And it just like doesn't rain for 2 weeks and we're like, I'm still going to keep preparing for the rain. Okay, I'm going to walk around with an umbrella every day. But, you know, wake up and be like, "Oh, what's the weather outside?" And then go. All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I got to practice teaching A Course in Miracles to kids now. That's awesome. Thank you, Marlene.
Yeah, I love it. I was going actually to comment that
It was not planned, I assure you, but he overheard what you were saying, and he always has opinions, so of course he was just waiting.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, hey, miracles happen in every moment. Go ahead, Claudia.
well, I was trying to say the same thing. Like you did an amazing answer to that question in a perspective of mother. It was very beautiful how you answered to him. Oh. And I'm going to share that what reminds me of everything that you're saying at this right moment is my son came last night from being in his dad's house for a couple of days. And I asked him, it's like, I want to ask you a question, Mateo. How are you feeling about going to middle school? And he told me, right now, nothing, Mom. I'm not gonna even worry about that because that's still not here. And I'm like, wow.
Whoa.
And Nelson and I were like, okay, thank you for the answer. So eventually, you know, that's why they recognize that why I'm gonna be worried something that is in the future when it's not here yet. Yes, I'm planning because obviously he's planning to go to middle school and he's planning to go to his courses and everything, but he's not worried about it at this present moment. So yeah, just want to share that. You did an amazing job answering that.
Yeah, that's awesome. He of course the miracle. He of course the miracled you.
Yep.
We're like trying to bring a future into the present moment. He's like, nope, I'm not having that. That's beautiful. All right, Alma, go ahead. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Marlene.
Yeah, I just want to add about what you were saying when in the miracles of cyber that you really never know what we're creating like every day, right? We don't know. And I just wanted to mention, of course, because of you, and I just felt drawn to your message. I became part of Legends Equity, and I just know one of our members. I just have sensed that they are struggling. So yesterday I reach out, even though I've been in my own training, so I haven't been able to participate much in the calls. I made the time to, and what they told me as the feedback, and how much they appreciated just a simple phone call and being present, right, in that conversation, just fills up my cup like you have no idea. Like it was a very touchy, let's say, moment. And then in my training that I was participating in yesterday, someone shared with me that she said that the fact we felt good about it is because we really aren't meant to heal by ourselves. Like you will be healing well. You help someone else just to return to that love, right? For herself or himself, whomever you're talking. So it's really just nature, Mother Nature, I guess, telling us this is good, keep on doing it because it's good not only for that person that I was reaching to, but for myself. So I just share that because really we never know. Like, we literally do not know. So if you feel the urge to reach out to say something beautiful, like I always tend to say compliments to people, and I've also read in I can remember where that don't do that too often because then people will say your words don't really mean much. But I do feel it like if I compliment your whatever, it can be your glasses or your outfit or how you talk, whatever, it's because I feel it. So I will not take that advice. I will keep on complimenting because I think it's just an urge I have to share with people.
Mhm. She got cut out now, but what a great message that she just shared, right? Oh, and you're back. Hello. When somebody says something like that, right? When somebody says something like, if you compliment somebody too much, it's not gonna mean as much anymore. That doesn't say anything about you complimenting. That only says something about the way they take compliments. But we make things a truth. See, the problem isn't that they said that. The problem is we're taking it seriously. That's the problem. So now I got a problem. I don't got a problem because she said something. I got a problem because I took something seriously that's not serious. I hope I hope Marlene heard that. Okay, go ahead, Alma.
No, it's just a comment about worrying about the future. I think it's we plan something, we want to do something, of course, we plan the future. But don't come to your own conclusions. I'm tired of listening to people showing their fear. And I said, hold off, man. How do you know that's going to be the results? Stop coming to your own conclusions. Let it go. And that's what I'm struggling these days, as
Yeah.
I feel like I'm surrounded with people that are always saying, yeah, I'm going to do this. Oh, but then immediately they go, like,
But
you lost it, man. Just let it go. Don't come to your conclusion. So that's what it is. Don't come to your conclusion.
right. So hold on. I want to point something out right here. Them losing it in that moment means they lost. They came to a conclusion. You came to a conclusion first that leads to them coming to their own conclusion. So you losing your peace about that is because you got it. you're coming to a conclusion about the way they're behaving, and that equals its annoyance to you. I can't handle it. Because I have a conclusion. I came to a conclusion that if you behave this way, it will lead to whatever. Right? So we always look at it like it's our problem. It's not their problem that they're doing it. If I spot it, that means I must have got it. So thank you. Thank you first for showing me where I'm coming to conclusion about things. See, now we start to have a thank you around it. We have a gratitude around them doing it. It changes our relationship to it, and we no longer see it as a problem. And then all of a sudden, I'm at peace with the fact that they come to conclusion with their own things. It's not the problem isn't that they come to conclusion with things. The problem is that I took it seriously.
Yeah. Just letting it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Exactly. Yeah. And we
It is
always,
what it is. Let it go.
we're always telling ourselves that, right? Just let that go. When we get upset at something, it's not the other person. Hey, man, you can't let go of this thing. Just let it go. Well, hey, I need to let it go. I need to let go of the fact that you need to let it go. So
Yeah,
that,
it's
that yeah.
It's a defense mechanism, constantly defending, protecting the ego.
Mm.
And it ain't easy being human.
Yeah. I mean, God can say the same thing, but he's probably like, it's easy. It's all just happening. Right. I mean, so it isn't easy certain points, but remember what we speak. See, we've entertained the fact that it isn't easy being human. We've collected evidence and all this stuff. Oh my God, it's so hard. I got to look back at myself. If I see something, I got to look at myself. Why is it so hard to do that? It's only hard because we haven't had enough practice on it. Right? It's very easy for me when I see it. I lose my peace for like a second. I'm like, oh man, that was all me. They don't have a problem. I have a problem. That's why I'm losing my peace. They're doing their thing. They're doing their dance. Whether they have a problem with it or not, it's not my problem. But why do I have a problem with the way people move and the direction they choose with their life? Right? God has given them a specific ministry. That is the role that they have to play in this moment. They're going to cause that chance encounter with somebody. That's their role. All right, Brooke, you were great. Oh, right.
Thanks,
So
Dave. Bye.
we're at this time now. We're at the time where the structure is that we are going to come to a conclusion. So, I'll end this call today with a lesson from the course, not from Marion's book, but from the course. Oh man, look at that. So, yeah, let's take a deep breath in. Let it out. Let go of all the stuff that we talked about on this call. We already know the answers. We already know the truth. All of this serves as a reminder that points to something. So whatever will come with us will come. We don't need to force anything. Nothing is that serious. We already have all the answers within, and we can trust in that today. So lesson 330. Open your mind, open your hearts. I will not hurt myself again today. Let us this day accept forgiveness as our only function. And remember, forgiveness is only bringing loving thoughts from the past. Why should we attack our minds and give them images of pain? Why should we teach them that they are powerless when God holds out his power and his love and bids them take what is already theirs? The mind that is made willing to accept God's gift has already been restored to spirit and extends its freedom and its joy as the will of God unites with its own. The self, the capital self, which God created, cannot sin and therefore cannot suffer. Let us choose today that he be our identity and thus escape forever from all things the dream of fear appears to offer us. Father, your Son cannot be hurt. And if we think we suffer, we but fail to know our one identity we share with you. We will return to it today to make free forever from all our mistakes, and to be saved from what we thought we were. Lesson 330, I will not hurt myself again today. So the message of the course is always to align your will to God's will, not God's will to your will. That's the upside down thinking that we have. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alma, for being such a great contribution to the call today. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you join us more often. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and everyone that's on live. Thank you. And much blessings to everybody today. I will see you on Sunday. Bye, everyone. Oh, of course.
Thank you, Alex.
Bye, everyone.
Have a beautiful day.